My name is Danny, and I'm an alcoholic and an addict, and I've recovered. I have a clean date of January 2nd, 2012. January 1st, 2012 was the last day I shot heroin. Today, I say that I've recovered because I'm a million different things now. I no longer drink, I no longer do drugs. I'm a counselor, I'm an interventionist, I've worked for numerous treatment centers, I founded a nonprofit, and I've founded another company, and today I'm successful. I no longer resemble that person that I used to be. But heroin, back in the 80s and in the 90s, I did a lot of different drugs. I did cocaine, I did meth, I drank a lot, I did ecstasy, I did all these things because I like to party. And that's what I did. I loved it because I was very uncomfortable with the way that I felt inside. When I was clean, when I was sober, I didn't like the way I felt. Life was very boring, very frustrating. And the only thing I like to do is get relief through chemicals and drinking and substances, and I love that very much. But heroin, this is a different animal. Because see, nowadays, I'm sure you guys have heard that there's an opioid epidemic out there. People are dying left and right. I can't tell you how many funerals I've attended in the last 7 years. A lot of funerals. I've buried a lot of my closest friends because of heroin. Heroin is one of the most terrible drugs ever. Because see, if you do a lot of cocaine, you get very paranoid and think the cops are coming. If you drink too much, you just pass out. If you do too much meth, you wind up taking off your clothes and running around evading the cops, But you do too much heroin and you die. This is tragic. It is such a mind-boggling thing. Heroin is a big problem just because of the main reason is because of the withdrawal. Because your body becomes addicted to this thing. Your body becomes addicted in a way that it is, people, if you want to get off of meth, and I put people into detoxes and programs, or I have them at their folks' house, and you just sleep it off, and that's fine. You drink too much, you get sequestered, you stop going to the bar, and within a couple days you start to feel halfway decent. You do too much of these other drugs, and you can be okay. It might be a couple days of discomfort, but with heroin and opiates, to come off of it, withdrawal is like, that feeling that you get from the flu? When your bones are aching, and you're kind of sick in your stomach, and you're like, okay, and you take a Theraflu, or you take some ibuprofen, and then you start to feel a little bit better. Heroin withdrawal is like the flu times 1,000. Your body is aching. You can't hold it in. You're sweating. And it is just a horrible feeling. For me, all the times I've known a long time that I can't be shooting heroin and have a successful. I've known that a long time. But every time I start to withdraw, I would rather shoot heroin than withdraw because the pain is so severe. One time, and this is another thing because it's in your brain, it's in your body, it's in your feelings. One time I recognized that I was losing everything because I've done a lot of time in prison. I spent about 15 years of my life in prison going because of drugs and alcohol and all this other stuff that I was involved in, going in and out, in and out, in and out. And I can remember one time I gave it my all by going to college. And I said, look, and I'm going to go to college. I'm going to stop this stuff. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to learn new things. And I gave it my all. But the problem is, this monkey on my back, the occasional relief that I get from heroin, I went back to it. And then at one point I recognized, I'm like, I am getting strung out again to where withdrawal's happening and I am going to lose everything in my life. I could see it. I could feel it. So I called my brother and I told him, hey, I'm using it again. I need to come off it. I'm ready to do anything that I possibly can. So he said, come on, Dan, I understand. I'm going to take care of you. Don't worry about it. So I drove all the way out to Sylmar, California, and I gave him all of my drugs, and I gave him all of my money, and I gave him the keys to my car, and I gave him everything that I had, and I was crying, and I told him, "You're saving my life, David. You're saving my life. I never want to do drugs ever again." And I felt it, and I knew that it was the truth. I never wanted to experience heroin drinking ever again because I was throwing my life away. And I knew with every fiber of my being that I was done. That was at 3 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, I got out there and I was saying 7 to 10 minutes. At 9 o'clock, I was saying, I changed my mind. At 9 o'clock, why did I come out here? I'm not done. Why did I give them all my drugs? Why did I do this? My power lasted 6 hours. My conviction lasted 6 hours. I would swear on a stack of Bibles that I was done. I knew I was ruining my life. My power lasted 6 hours. There's this thing about heroin that is so terrible because 5,000 times in my life when I am feeling horrible and I'm feeling upset or I'm withdrawing or I'm kicking and I'm going through this, I get some heroin and bam, I feel right as rain. I feel great. And it is this thing that goes into your subconscious and it goes into your mind and it tells me, my soul, that all I need to do is do this to feel good. That's it. And I feel good. So it doesn't matter about the consequences in my life. All that matters is that I feel good, because that's what we all want as human beings, is to feel good and to feel heroic and feel brave and feel awesome. And this is what heroin, the greatest lie that would happen to me is when I would be withdrawing and I'm shaking and I'm feeling horrible, and then I would get some heroin and I would shoot heroin and I'd do a shot and I look at myself in the mirror in the bathroom and I'd get this warm feeling and I looked at myself and I'd say, everything's going to be okay. People are dying every day from heroin. Every single day. How I got out of it, I wound up going into a detox. The last time, I didn't know that I was going to be able to stop. I didn't hit this bottom, then all of a sudden everything, I was just super confused. I was 42 years old, and I was tearing my life to pieces. I was the biggest disappointment in my family's life. And I went to this, and my mom wanted nothing to do with me. My daughter wanted nothing to do with me. My family wanted nothing to do with me. I had a black trash bag because I paroled for prison again, and that was all I had to my name. And the last time I did heroin, I did it across the street from going into the detox, because they said, look, I'm going to go try detox one more time. And I went into that detox, and before I got in there, I went across the street and was in a car, and I did another shot of heroin, and I went in there. The way out for me is that some people came into my life and they were heroin addicts like me. They had been to all the prisons and all the places that I had been. And I was watching them get houses and cars and businesses and taking their moms out to dinner and taking their daughters out to lunch and growing and thriving. And they told me basically just do what they do. Pride was one of my killers in my life. It was my greatest character defect, because I never wanted, because the thought of surrender was horrible. It's like victory forever, surrender never. That was what I lived by. So the feeling of surrendering and saying, okay, you guys manage my life now, because it felt like giving up on myself. But truthfully, surrender to me is not about just giving up. It's giving up and joining the winning side. That's what surrender is. So all I did was follow suit with these individuals, and I did what they did, and some of the things they wanted me to do, I didn't believe in, but I did it anyway because I knew I was defeated. I knew that if I kept living the way I lived, everything would be a wrap. So now I've discovered the way out. And my greatest passion in life is to help others find the way out. I founded a nonprofit called Standing United about a little over a year ago, and we're helping hundreds of men and women today find the way out. And the greatest thing is, when they tell me, you know what, you don't know how I feel. I know exactly how you feel. I know exactly how you feel. And then I tell them my story, and I tell them I found the way out. And today I've become the man I've always wanted to be. I'm that guy. I don't want to be anything more than I am. The reason I don't want to do heroin, smoke, speed, drink, or do anything is because I don't want to change the way I feel. My greatest passion in life is to serve others. I'm a servant today. And my happiness is defined by how many people I serve. It's very important. Thank you.